Hello, welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube. Myself, Mark Carlaw, and Riley Finch. Riley, Michail Antonio is, well, I mean, he's been great for us so far this season. I've been really impressed with him. It feels like we've got the old Mick back a little bit. And I actually think the introduction of Skamaka, like he was crying out for, was really helping him. It just seems, I don't know, like a breath of fresh air this season. What's your thoughts on Big Mick?
Well, me and my old man put it as a man crush. To be honest, that's what we name Michail Antonio. He's been a fan favourite for me and for many others for years. I don't think
Yeah,
he's quite gotten the recognition he deserves,
I agree. Yeah.
realistically. But yeah, I mean, this season he looks really good, and I think he was alluding to last season that not only did he need a striker for a bit of rest, but he also needed a striking partner, just to level up his game a little bit. And I think you've seen that. I think they do have two different dimensions, though. I think Skamaka's more a supporting striker. I'd love to see him be a little bit more ruthless, like Antonio can be. I mean, when the ball came into him for the third goal, he just shrugs the defender off and just goes in a.
Yeah,
He's so
yeah.
powerful and strong, and I know Skamaka can do that, and I wish he would, but he seems more like he gets the ball played into him. He's using his strength to back up against the opponent, and then he just sort of lays it off to a midfielder. And yeah, that's brilliant, and you love to see that link-up play. But I'd love to see him be a little bit more selfish and explosive the way Antonio is. I mean, he came on and he run Dower ragged. I mean, he was so he was honestly thankful to be taken off the pitch. He was
He
open.
was, yeah.
He was open. Skamaka was going to come back on. To be honest with
I
you, I
know,
mean,
yeah, I know, yeah.
he was getting run ragged. And let's be honest, he's a decently big guy, Dower, but Antonio, he knows how to use his strength. He knows how to use his pace. He comes on, gets a goal and an assist. I mean, the only question for me is he better suited for that super sub role? Should he be starting these games, or as you've alluded to many times, Mr. Carlo, is he that super sub that we need that's going to come on and just bully defenders the same way he did against Bucharest?
You actually think, yeah, he does fit that well, doesn't he? Like as you say, it's like, you can imagine just like being the centre back, being a centre back and seeing him come on. It must be a nightmare for any defender. Think, oh my god, I've got half an hour of a fully, a completely fresh Michail Antonio who's going to absolutely batter me now for half an hour. I think I agree. I actually think it does fit that role quite well. But then saying that, but look, we've always wanted the rotation. We've all been crying out for another striker, and that's now what we've got. We've got that rotation now, which I think that is why he's having such a good impact now, rather than having to play 90 minutes every week, every match, or twice a week last season, and again this season. It was no good for him. He needs to be rested, and you can see that he's paying off already. Do you know what I love about Antonio as well, which I'm so surprised about, is that it's almost like he's getting better with age. He's almost like he's getting fitter. I don't know quite how it's happened. Like when you rewind back a sort of 3 or 4 years ago, he was getting injured all the time. He was always having problems. He was constantly having groin injuries and thigh injuries, and and to be honest with you, I actually could see it becoming the end. I think there was a game, I can't remember if it was right or wrong. Was it Oxford, possibly Oxford United, and he got injured. I think it was, and I had to cast mine back. And I remember then thinking, I actually think this could be the end of his career, because he went down and he was just so bad. And he had to hobble off the pitch. And he had just come back after a nasty injury. And I remember thinking, this is probably him winding down his contract now. They're not going to want to keep him on. And now here we are, like years later. He's fitter than ever before. He had a whole season last season where he played every match pretty much for us. Didn't pick up any injuries. I know I'm going to jinx him now and he's going to get injured, but I'm just so impressed with him. I don't know what he's been doing, whether he's dieting better or he's training. I don't know what's going on, but he just seems better. And you think he's 33, Antonio, and you look at him at the moment. He looks like a player that I'd probably want to give another 2 or 3 year contract to at the moment. That's how well he's playing. Like I love him. I like you. I've got a big thing for Antonio. I think he's just been brilliant for West Ham. Been absolutely such an amazing signing, and he's going to be. It's going to be gutting one day when he's not playing for us. It really is. I think he's been brilliant. And long may it continue. I'm so pleased with him.
Yeah, he does. He's aging like a fine wine at the moment. But I mean, the guy seems a bit irreplaceable. I'm not sure who would even get in who has his strength, his explosiveness. And let's be honest, he's a character. He's a great guy in the dressing room. He's a great sort of voice around the club. And he's a very likable guy. He's a very likable dude. And he's got these funny celebrations as well. I mean, he's a proper West Ham player, and and it is gutting that he's going to be leaving at some stage. I think people forget that he is our all-time Premier League top scorer.
I know.
People do forget that. Like, this guy's got a bit of legacy behind him. I mean, he's not going to be remembered as a Paolo Di Canio, is he? But he is honestly top quality, and I think the only debate for me again is like I said, should he be starting these games? Or are we just resigning him to be a super sub? But then that almost feels a bit disrespectful, doesn't it? If you're going to sit there and say, well, you play so well coming off the bench, you should just be, you shouldn't be starting
I
every
suppose
week.
the only way you could look at it as not being disrespectful to him, you could say, well, one, he's got a bit of backup now, a bit of rotation. I'm not saying he's got to be a super sub because he can theoretically play in other games and start other games. I'm not saying he has to be that, but I think as well, if he wants to stay on longer, I'd say that to him. If you want to be playing at West Ham when you're 36, 37, that's not unachievable, but you've got to start winding it down slightly. We can't be playing you 90 minutes every week. You can't be starting every match. We need to preserve you. And I think he'd accept that. I think if he comes across a player, I don't think he's got any desire to want to leave West Ham. I'm sure if you put a contract in front of him today, he'd sign it. He loves West Ham, doesn't he? And I'm just so thrilled for him, like how well he's done for us. Like when you look back at when he joined from Forest, I think it was in 2016, was it 2015, 16 around that time? And I remember he had a very good start for us. And I actually recall a lot of people saying, well, he's only going to be using West Ham for the next step because he's going to be moving on. But the fact we've kept him for all these years and now theoretically, he's probably going to retire at West Ham now, unless the next move will be a step down. I can only imagine. But I just think, like you're right. He's a Premier League all-time top scorer, and he is a legend. He really is a legend. It's a shame that he doesn't get the recognition he deserves. But I think he will. I think most people do respect Antonio, and I know people get a bit frustrated sometimes with him because he can be so he does things that you just think, what is he doing? You know what I mean? He's a bit chaotic, but I think that's what he's about, isn't he? He's so unpredictable, and that's why he's so difficult to defend against. Yeah, I love him, mate. Honestly, I'm so pleased for him, and it just. I'm so pleased that he started the season well because I was a bit worried that when we got Skamaka in, where he'd be fitting in, where he'd be playing. But he's still a massive player for West Ham. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it gives Skamaka a really good run for his money. I think, are his days on the wings numbered for you? Like, do you think that's an area that he can still play for you, or do you think just strikers where he's most effective? Because
it's not a bad shout, really. It's not a bad shout, is it? I mean,
yeah, the area he's most dangerous against Bucharest was on the wing where. He resides in the middle and he just drifts out to the wing, and then all of a sudden the players just can't handle him.
I know, I agree. I actually do think you're right. He is explosive in the wing, and we can utilise him there. We actually talked about this in previous videos. It would be interesting to see if they could combine Skamaka and Antonio in the same team. You think it could probably work, and I think there's no reason why it wouldn't work. But I suppose because of his age now and wanting to keep him fit, I wonder if the club are mindful of his minutes and thinking we don't want to burn him out now and we want to preserve him as best as possible. But yeah, mate, I'm so pleased to see him back the way he is. I mean, he's been brilliant for us. He's been so good. And against Bucharest, he was amazing against Bucharest. He changed the game on his own. He really he was explosive. Funny, it was like watching old Mick again, like really back to form. It's brilliant.
I think if just Michail Antonio came on, I still think we win that game. To be honest, he was the absolute game changer for us. I
agree.
He played for 30. Well, sorry, he played a full half, 45 minutes. But Fliniesta, who's on the pitch at the same amount of time, double the time as him. He gave him a good run for his money for man of the match. So
absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree.
He was influential. He was brilliant. He galvanised the whole team, and that's what being a sub and a team player is all about. And honestly, for me, he's probably one of the first names on this team sheet on Thursday. I'd love to see Skamaka start.
Agree, mate.
I'd love to see Skamaka get some goals and get some confidence. But if we want to win that game, I think he's got to be one of the first names on the team sheet.
My gut feeling is, I think on Thursday, I reckon he'll go for the same. I reckon he'll start Skamaka with Antonio to come on. That's my gut feeling. I think he'll carry that on for a while. But yeah, I don't think Mick will mind that. I actually, if anything, it works well for him. I would be saying to him that this is what you wanted. You wanted support. You wanted a bit of support in that role. And that's what he's got now. So he shouldn't be annoyed at not playing 90 minutes every week. If anything, it actually does him a big favour because his impact's so good, especially when they're a bit run ragged. They've had a tough half, and then you throw Antonio on. It's just like, I don't think there's any defender in the world that would fancy marking Michail Antonio, especially when he's in form. It's just, he's a monster, isn't he?
Yeah, Matt, totally agree. Great to see him in a bit of form as well.
That's brilliant, mate. It's brilliant. Thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers.